Everyone has dreams. A lot of people set goals. Everyone has habits, but almost no one has the system which is going to propel them up the mountain. So it's one thing to set the goals, it's one thing to have the dreams, but it's another thing to keep the focus and have the upward gravity, which is the system pulling you upward and giving you forward momentum. So what we are going to embark on today is a 5-step process down the mountain of your dreams. So we are going to start with the end in mind, with your purpose, down to your dreams, to your goals, to the system, to the habits. So go ahead and get out a piece of paper, grab a coffee. We are going to do this together and design this year right. So I want to tell you the story of 2 hills. This first hill we're going to call the goal hill. If you have a small hill, like for example, you want to drink more water, you really would only need 2 things. 1, you would need the goal, the intention to get up the mountain. So we have this little flag at the top. You have a goal. We might even make it a SMART goal. You make it specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. But the other thing you would need if you had a small goal, a little small hill you want to get up, is you need the steps that you take every day. And in this metaphor, that is represented by your habits. So you have the goal to drink more water, you have the habits of doing it, in 15 minutes you'll be up this hill. But what I want to talk to you about today is not small goals like drinking more water. What I want to talk to you about today is the Mount Everest of goals. Now, a lot of people set creative goals. They want to start a YouTube channel. They want to write a book. They want to create an album. These are much bigger goals. They take a lot more creative effort. They take a lot more work than just drinking more water. And a lot of times what people do, they will approach a Mount Everest-sized goal with hill-sized tactics, and it will not get the same results. And then it creates this shame spiral where you try and you stop and you try and you stop, and you never end up knowing what you're actually made of. For some people, this never really giving it their all and pursuing this big goal is a self-defense mechanism protecting their potential. They're worried that if they really go all out and try to reach their potential, that they're going to find out its limits and its bounds, and they're going to find out that their potential is not really as big as they thought it was. So they'd rather just not try at all. But what if I told you that your potential is much bigger than you could have ever imagined? People tend to overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And if you all out go after your potential for 10 years, for 20 years, I'm telling you right now, it will far exceed your expectations. Maybe on the short term, you feel that you haven't lived up to your potential and you feel shame about that. And you think that that means that forever you're going to have that perception of yourself. But no, if you keep going, you will have that potential. So what I want to talk to you today is about Mount Everest, a big goal that you know you want to go after. Some people say they don't know what they want, but that's not true. You know what you want. It's just a matter of giving yourself permission to get it. And so we have a small goal, this small hill, and we have this big Mount Everest-sized goal. This is what I'm going to call the mountain of your dreams. What a lot of people do is they have this mountain of their dreams and they don't think they can get it. So instead of going after that plan A, they make a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan E, and then they try to go after that goal, which usually ends up being maybe a small hill or something that's not nearly as motivating. And in research done by Locke, they found that actually the bigger your goal is, the more likely that you're going to reach it. Why? Because you actually have motivation for that thing. You actually care about goal A. You don't care about goal E, goal F. You don't really care about those things. But in pursuing goal E and goal F and then not reaching it because you didn't have motivation, it creates a self-concept. I'm just not a person that can achieve things. I'm a lazy person. Laziness is just a myth. Being disciplined is just a myth. We call ourselves lazy when there's something we don't want to do and we don't do it. So how can you overcome laziness? Do the thing you wanted to do in the first place. You have motivation to do things you want to do. It doesn't take any effort to say, oh, I want to listen to this great music. So just do the things you want to do. This perception of laziness, needing discipline, needing consistency, it goes away. So at the top of this hill, we have the goal, the intention, we want to get up Mount Everest, and we have the habits. But it would be crazy to embark on climbing Mount Everest with just those 2 things. We say, okay, you know what? I have a goal, I want to climb Mount Everest, and I'm just going to take those steps every day. No, what we need is a system. What we need to do is a plan in advance of the things I'm going to do so that you can say, I just need to get 1,000 feet today, and then I'm going to stop at this camp, and then I'm going to go 1,000 feet tomorrow and stop at this camp. So you know, when am I going to be done? This is what I need to do. When am I able to stop so that you feel complete? And things will not go according to plan. Obviously, things happen on Mount Everest, but we make the plan anyways as we're embarking. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We are going to embark on this mountain of your dreams. Even above this goal level, we have your life purpose. We have your dreams. And until we get really clear on the clarity and direction you want your life to go, setting goals and SMART goal tactics, they're not even going to be useful to us because there's some people who reach almost every goal they set, and when they get there, they're not happy. They have the kind of this goal depression. If you do not have your purpose lined out, your dreams lined out, clarity of the thing, when you get there, you're not actually going to be happy and have this goal depression. So we want to make sure we actually start there. And then we're going to work our way down the mountain to the system the group of habits strung together that's actually going to make this thing happen. Everyone has dreams. A lot of people set goals. Everyone has habits, but almost no one has the system which is going to propel them up the mountain. So it's one thing to set the goals, it's one thing to have the dreams, but it's another thing to keep the focus and have the upward gravity, which is the system pulling you upward and giving you forward momentum. I love the James Clear quote, "We do not rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems." So what we are going to embark on today is a 5-step process down the mountain of your dreams. And I love the quote, "Forward thinkers are backward planners." So we are going to start with the end in mind, with your purpose, down to your dreams, to your goals, to the system, to the habits. So go ahead and get out a piece of paper, grab a coffee. We are going to do this together and design this year right. Let's go ahead and begin with your purpose. This is an exercise that I got from the book Claim Your Power. This is a really powerful book. I did a lot of crying when I was going through this. It's basically a 40-day journey to overcome trauma, to gain power back in your life. But one of the exercises is a purpose exercise that generated some words that I've used ever since in my business. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out this template. My purpose is to pursue blank and feel blank helping others do the same. So you can write this down. I'm going to take you through this exercise. What I want you to do is close your eyes, and I want you to picture your earliest childhood memory that's wonderful. A great childhood memory. Were you learning how to ride a bike? Were you playing with your siblings? I want you to think about the earliest, most wonderful memory you can picture. Who was there? What was the weather like? What were things like? And I want you to write down 5 emotions that you were feeling. Now, I will have an emotions list on the screen because I think the more unique and personalized you can make these to you, the more impactful this activity is going to be. You can use words that aren't traditionally emotion words. You can use nouns. You can use any sort of word that's even remotely adjacent. So I'm going to have a list here of words that I really like. I want you to list 5 words that you were feeling, and don't move on until you've got to that part. Then I want you to go into the second most wonderful early childhood memory. Were you learning to ride a bike? Were you swimming? Were you running in the sprinklers? Were you talking to your parents? And I want you to picture who was there. How wonderful was it again? And again, I want you to list 5 emotions that could be non-traditional, as unique as you are words, and write those 5 words down. Finally, I want you to think of a recent memory, something in the last couple years. Were you learning a new skill? Were you hanging out with loved ones? What's the most wonderful memory in recent time? And again, list 5 emotions that you were feeling. So if you've been following along, you should have a list of 15 emotions, and there might be some overlap. What I want you to do is go down that list of 15 emotions, and you're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. How important is that emotion to you? I've got words like expansive, or scared excited, exhilarated, or sunny, fulfilled, connected. In doing this with people, I'm astounded at how different everyone's words are. Like, you might think as humans we all need similar things, but they're remarkably different. So once you've ranked them, you should have one word that is the most important to you. For me, that word was expansive, and that goes in this first blank. My purpose is to pursue, and I would change that to a noun, expansiveness. Everything I do in my life, I'm trying to expand and remove constrictions. As I did this activity, the second most important word to me was what I called, and I made this word up, scared excited. The feeling of pushing off for the first time when learning how to ride a bike. The feeling of starting a YouTube channel. You're doing this thing, you don't know, it's scary, it's exciting, but there's something about it that's really enlivening. And that was my second most important word, and you put this here. So for me it is, my purpose is to pursue expansiveness and to feel scared excited, helping others do the same. Now, having these 2 words is really impactful because it gives a guiding light, but this is really ethereal. It's kind of airy-fairy. It's not very specific. And so what we need to do is have a mission that gives it a little bit more specificity. And what's good about having kind of an ethereal purpose statement is it's not attached to any career you're at. It's not attached to any relationship you're in. For a time when I was a math teacher, it felt expansive for me to be doing that. And then over time, it didn't feel like that anymore, this expansive. It felt very constricting, and I could tell that like my calling was going in a different direction of YouTube. And so what it means is your identity doesn't get wrapped up in any sort of place you're at or thing you're at. My identity is to help others feel scared excited, to take off and do this new thing. And I can do that as a math teacher. I could do that as a YouTuber. Regardless of if you like your boss, if you like how things are going, your mission can still follow you. We are going to make this a little bit more specific. So we're going to talk about your life's work. And I believe that really changes. For a couple of years, this is really what you're putting your life's work into. A couple of years you were doing this, and this will accumulate eventually into a big life's work. But what I want to focus on is in the near future, what is our life's work right now? So I have this Venn diagram here, and we're eventually going to have a statement. My life's work right now is to help blank by doing blank by doing blank. And we're going to get this filled in. We have a Venn diagram of 3 circles, and we want to find the convergence of these things right now. What this first exercise gave us is kind of a vague purpose, and it says what positive emotions are kind of drawing us toward. We are now going to use negative emotions because we don't need to run from negative emotions. They're just information that's giving us something. I have this anger, heartbreak, an envy Venn diagram. Before I tell you the punchline, I want you to go ahead and completely fill out this Venn diagram that I'm saying, because I think it's going to taint your responses if you know what the punchline is. First thing I want you to do is I want you to list the 3 main issues that really anger you. You could think of certain injustices, inequality, bullying, sexism, racism, lack of education. I mean, what issues have really angered you consistently throughout the course of your life? And so I want you to go and write these down before I give you the punchline. Then in the next circle, I want you to write down what things break your heart. Is it animal cruelty? Is it people who have worked really, really hard and they have nothing to show for it? Is it people who went their whole life and they haven't really done what they wanted to do? Is it people in depression? So I want you to really get in touch with, list 3 things, the 3 biggest issues that really break your heart. And then I want you to write down, what are the 3 things you are most envious of? Is it so-and-so's career? Is it so-and-so's house? Is it so-and-so's financial situation? What are the 3 things you are most envious of? Now, in these 3 bubbles, you might have some kind of unrelated thing. When I did this with my husband, he had animal cruelty in the heartbreak category. But we're not looking at things that are just in one bubble. We are looking at the convergence. What do these 3 circles have in common? What is the number 1 issue? When I did this exercise for myself, I found what broke my heart the most is people who have worked in the same job for 40 years without any fulfillment. They never really tried more for their potential. They kind of just settled and got complacent with this thing that they're not really happy about. I literally could cry over that issue. Then for me, when I looked at the biggest issue in the anger bubble is different variations of closed-mindedness. It just ticks me off. I could actually really rant about this. Various types of closed-mindedness, it really just angers me. When you think about the opposite of closed-mindedness, that's open-mindedness. It could be empowering in the way that I'm thinking of it. And then finally, in the envy circle, when I did this for me, I think the number 1 important thing at the time was like, I'm really jealous of people that have successful YouTube channels. I'm jealous of people that are financially doing this full time. And when I look at what all of those things have in common, I can then fill in this template. Your heartbreak tells you what group of people you're meant to help. Your anger tells you what issue you're meant to change, and your envy tells you what your next practical step is in that arena. So for me, it was my life's work is to help people who hate their jobs, who are settling, by showing them that there's a way, this open-mindedness, there's a way to break out of it by pursuing a YouTube channel. And really it's an alignment with my purpose of encouraging people to do things that make them scared excited. And right now, the specific manifestation of that is through a YouTube channel. And over the course of my life, that could change. So look at the convergence of those 3 bubbles, and it really helps you in a certain direction. So next, as we're working our way down the mountain, we've kind of looked at purpose. Now we're going to get into your 10-year dreams. We're starting with the end in mind, and we're zooming back. I want to read you an exercise from the Start Today journal. Imagine that a decade of time has gone by and you are living your best possible life. What would that be like? Dream big. Don't put any restrictions on it. Don't overthink it. Just allow yourself to envision the most magnificent possible future version of yourself. Imagine it's a decade in the future. What is the very best version of you doing? What do you look like? How do you go about your day? What kind of clothes do you wear? What kind of car do you drive? Are you a great cook? Do you love to read? Do you love to run? Get as specific as you can. Or do you go on vacation? What's your favorite restaurant to eat at now that your life is different? What kind of food do you love? What does it feel like to go throughout your day? Are you optimistic? Are you encouraging to others? After a decade of working on yourself and growing as a person, how much joy is there in your life? Who's in your life now? What's your inner circle like now that you're the best version of yourself? What does your week look like? How do you treat people? How do they treat you? After 10 years of loving and taking care of yourself, how do you feel in your skin? How do you carry yourself? Are your shoulders back? Is your head held high? How do you speak to the people you love? How are you loved in return? Let your dreams run absolutely wild. And now go bigger. Now, before you forget anything, and without a second of judgment or overthinking of it, I want you to write down everything that you just dreamed up as fast as you can. In 10 years, I will be ... So I want you to just write down in a paragraph all the things that you want to be in 10 years. And it's important to not limit yourself, because we're going to get more specific in a little bit, but this is the time to dream big. You know, we started with our purpose and how we're going to help others, but I love the Brene Brown quote: ask what lights you up and go do more of that thing, because that's what the world needs more of, is people who are lit up. I believe that naturally, when you're going after what you want and you're enjoying your life, that you will naturally be radiant and helping others. So when you've taken some time to really write out your life dreams, I want you to list 10. The top 10 things in there that you want to make happen is that you want to have a YouTube channel, you want to have a house in this location, you want to have this product, you want to have this family, you want to be married, whatever it is. And I want you to write it in the present tense. I am a best-selling author. I am a full-time YouTuber. I am married. I have 2 children. And you can even write adjectives. I'm a peaceful person. I have vision for everything that I do. So I want you to write the 10 most important things that you want to make happen in the next 10 years. And in this journal, you write down those 10 dreams every day. So there's a section for gratitude, 5 things you're grateful for the day, and you write those 10 dreams down every day. And at the very bottom, there's the one that you're going after first and going to make happen. And it's not the one that's the easiest. It's not the plan B. I like to think of it as the first domino. It is the domino that is so big that when that one gets tipped over, it will knock over everything else. For me, wanting to move to San Francisco was huge. And when I moved to San Francisco, I didn't have fitness goals, but I naturally became more fit because of the environment. When I moved to San Francisco, I didn't have any like spiritual growth goals, but I grew so much spiritually. And it's just when you get the biggest domino, the one that gives you chills, the one that makes you tear up, the one that you actually want the most, the biggest one, it will just naturally start tipping over everything else. So I want you to pick, what is the biggest, most magnificent one that, I'll use my word here, that scares you a little bit, it excites you a little bit, that makes you feel expansive. Now that you have picked one to pursue, we are working our way down the mountain and we are now at the goal level, which I love goals. I'm obsessed with goals. But notice, we are not going to set a yearly goal quite yet because like SMART goals would suggest, you need your goal to be time bound. But as time goes further and further out, we are worse and worse judges of time. And also because of Parkinson's law, it says that work expands to the time we give it. So most goals that you set for a year, you can actually get that done in 12 weeks. It takes most people 12 months. You can get it done in 12 weeks. If you just focus and really lock in. So when setting a big goal, and I have this in my planner here, this year's mountain, when making a goal statement, I like to think of the who, what, how, and why. So what we're going to fill in is this template. By the end of quarter 1, I will be a who with a what by doing how and how many because why. So we're going to fill in. First is the who. Who do you want to be by the end of this quarter? Do you want to be a YouTuber? You can add an adjective. Do you want to be a calm YouTuber, a consistent YouTuber? Do you want to be an involved parent? What is the word that you want to be by the end of quarter 1? The next question is, what do you want to have? Now, I want to give a caveat. This is an outcome goal. An outcome goal, sometimes we have less control over. So maybe you want 1,000 subscribers, let's say. We don't have 100% control over that. So we're not going to spend too much time in this area. But think about, what do you want to have? The purpose of an outcome goal is it's kind of flashy and it's like, yes, I want to have 1,000 subscribers. I want to have a subscriber plaque, whatever it is. But just understanding that we don't have as much control over it. So we're not going to goal set around that thing. Let's just dream. What do you want to have? Do you want to have a book to hold in your hands? Do you want to have an album? Do you want to be a certain size and clothing? What do you want to have by the end of this quarter? Then how are you going to do it? Are you going to post videos weekly? Are you going to sit down and write every day? How are you going to do it? What verbs, what actions are you going to take? And this is where it gets important. How many of those things are you going to do? So if you're going to post videos, are you going to post 2 per week? If you're going to write a book, do you want to have 1 book written? Do you want it to have 12 chapters? So we're going to use numbers to quantify. And then what is your why? And this is where it comes back to purpose. Is it because I want to prove to myself I can do it? I want to know what the bounds of my potential are. And I might not figure that out in a year, but I want to know that I gave it my all. I want to be able to look back and know what the bounds of my potential are. Is it because you feel like there is a hole that needs filled because people need this thing? Is it because you have a purpose that's so valuable that you need to know it? You need to feel expansive. You need other people to be scared excited. What is it that is your why? The soul of your goal. So we are now going to set a quarterly goal. This is what I would call your quarterly mountain. And the planner that I made chunks you back all through this. Goal segmentation is what this is called. This whole planner gets down to the daily level. Let's say my goal is I want to have 12 chapters written. Since forward thinkers are backward planners, we're going to start with the end in mind. By the end of quarter 1, I want to have 12 chapters written. So now if I chunk back 3 months, let's say this is month 1, this is month 2, the end of month 3 is also the end of quarter 1. If I want to have 12 chapters written by the end of quarter 1, that means I need to have 8 chapters written by the end of month 2. And that means I need to have 4 chapters written by the end of month 1 if I want to chunk it evenly, which you don't have to. Sometimes what I like to do is have a slow start and then ramp up the pace. Okay, so now we're going to chunk it down a little further. We're going to make this even a little bit more manageable. And this is part of the system that we're building. So we have our quarterly goals and we have monthly goals for the first 3 months. We're not even to the system yet. We will get there. What I want to do now is make weekly goals, not for the whole entire quarter. It's like climbing Mount Everest. Stuff is going to go wrong. We don't need to plan out day 314 right now, but let's plan out month 1. So month 1 has got 4 weeks. So if I need to have 4 chapters written that month, that means by the end of week 3, I need to have 3 chapters written. By the end of week 2, I need to have 2 chapters written. And by the end of week 1, I need to have 1 chapter written. It's getting smaller and smaller. We're getting closer and closer to habits. We're getting closer to the system that's going to propel us up Mount Everest. So we know by the end of day 1, I need to get to this stopping point. By the end of day 2, I need to get to this stopping point. So we've identified our purpose. That's the thing that's going to keep us going when we're slogging up this mountain and we don't have anything left in us. We have our dreams, the things that kind of incentivize us, that I really would like these things to happen in my life. And we have now set weekly goals we're going to chunk those goals even a little bit more specific. This is called the 5 to Strive system. I initially got this concept from Rachel Hollis years ago, and all it says that to make measurable gains on this big thing, Mount Everest, you don't need to devote your whole life to it. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to take over your whole life. 5 hours per week. And I've got weekdays here. You can pick whatever 5 days work for you. 5 hours to work on your big goal. So by the end of the week, I said that I wanted to have 1 chapter written. Beginning with the end in mind, Friday, maybe I'll do the final editing of the chapter. Maybe Thursday, I'll rough draft, and Wednesday, I'll rough draft. Maybe Tuesday, I'll outline the chapter. And maybe Monday, I'll work on kind of brain dumping and outlining the book. Now, this 5 to Strive system is what is going to eventually propel you up the mountain. This is going to become on autopilot, so you don't have to think about it. If this is my routine for getting 1 chapter written, next week, same process. Next week, same process. And the first week, whatever system you set up, it probably is not going to be the best. You probably need to make some tweaks. You need to experiment. That is totally normal. I would say it's very common in working with clients that I have for the first week to go absolutely terribly. You can just go ahead and expect it. That's totally normal. And it's because you're experimenting. That's totally fine. Now, as you look through your weekly plan, there's probably one day that stands out to you as a little bit more difficult than the rest. There's a little bit more resistance to doing that thing. Maybe if you were this person, you look at rough draft today and you say, that's really when you got to start writing. That's kind of feels, So what I like to do on whatever day is the most difficult, seems the most intimidating, the day before, in this case it would be Tuesday, you get started on that thing. Sit down, do 5 minutes of it. Get everything set up, set your laptop out the night before, get the Google Doc open, whatever you need to do, get every possible thing ready, do 5 minutes of it so that the next day you're already in motion. It's not a matter of momentum, object at rest, stays at rest, but you're already in motion. So it's a matter of just keeping it in motion. What you need more than anything, especially at the beginning, is to understand that when you get going, it's awkward at first. There's an awkward phase, mechanical phase, and a fluid stage. And allow yourself to be awkward for a long time. And you need to have a point where you say, I'll know I'm done when. Because a lot of times with creative projects, you can edit and edit and edit and edit. And the question is really like, when am I done? Am I done when I just kind of like feel like I'm done? Because a lot of times when you're putting something creative out there, it's emotionally taxing, and that good emotional feeling that you're looking for to know when you're done is not a good metric, and sometimes it won't even be there at all. So we need a better metric than our emotions to know when are we done. For me, when I was working on YouTube, when I was a teacher, I said, I will know I'm done when I've worked on this an hour, and I wouldn't go any further than that because this is a marathon. A lot of times at the beginning, people say, okay, I'm gonna work on this for 8 hours. You have all this energy, but then you burn out and you use all that energy at the beginning. So instead of thinking, okay, at the end when I'm burnt out, how can I get more energy? What we should do is at the beginning, when we have high energy, we should pull back. It's kind of reserving some of that energy for later on. So the question you might be asking, okay, we went from the top of the hill, purpose to dreams to goals. What is the habit? We need one habit to rule them all, because a lot of times there's a lot of areas of life that we want to grow in. We want to eat better, with better relationship, big Mount Everest goal. What are we going to do? It's a lot of habits. If it were me and I was going to implement one habit, I would implement the habit of writing down what I'm going to do in a planner and doing it. You need the habit of just showing up to your planner and doing what it says. So like in this planner, what is your month 2 goal? And along the sides, what's your week 1 goal, your week 2 goal, your week 3, your week 4 goal, just like we chunked out here. And as the year goes on, what is your day 1 goal? Day 2, day 3, day 4. What are your daily goals? And then getting down to what are your daily actions? These are my top 3 to get my goal done. I'm writing down my goals and I keep it in mind every single day. And the whole beginning is filled with purpose questions and figuring out like really what you want out of life, even much more comprehensive than these questions here. When you get regimented with whatever calendar system of your choice is, everything falls into place. It is the one domino that will knock over everything else. If you can be regimented and diligent with one habit, it's just whatever I put on my calendar, I am going to do. And if that one habit gets ticked off, everything in your life falls into place. Your life is a series of moments and seconds and weeks and years. So time management is just about getting the fullness out of your life and the soul out of your life. And so you can look back a year from now and say, I sat down a year ago and I did the thing I said I was going to do. If you haven't reached your goals in the past, I just want to remind you that we tend to overestimate what we can do in 2 years, but we underestimate what we can do in 10. There have been years where I did not reach my yearly goals, but I've far exceeded 5-year goals. The thing that you want to do, the thing that's been nudging you, that thing is not going to go away a year from now because it's important. It's part of your purpose. We are all sitting here cheering and just waiting with bated breath for you to do the thing that you're called to do. So we're going to do it this year. We're going to do it together. I'm going to be working my way through my goals this year, like always, and I want to do it with you this year. So if you would like to, check out the Potential Planner. It would mean a lot to me, and it would really help in my journey up my own mountain if you would subscribe. It is a goal, 100,000 subscribers. That's a goal that I've had for a long time. And I'm saying this is the year that it happens. One thing that I would love to know is what your goals are. I get so much joy out of seeing what people's goals are. So if you want to leave in the comments the who, what, how, and why statement, I would love to be able to use this video as a time capsule where we look back a year from now and we say, oh, that's what my goal was, and I actually did it, as kind of a measure of accountability. And I would love to just see what your goals are. I'm cheering you on this year. Can't wait to see what your goals are. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.